everybody, my name is Shane, and today, as you can maybe tell, hopefully if not by the title, we are doing a Snow White inspired makeup tutorial today. I had mentioned a while back, probably by the time this video comes out, that my work is currently doing a theme every weekend, and this theme is Snow White. So of course I had to go above and beyond for it. So today I came up with a Snow White inspired, kind of modernized look to it. I'm not trying to make a Halloween makeup tutorial for Snow White, so I'm not saying everything is spot on, but I took her look, took my products and my preferences and mushed them together. I got swatches still on the back of my hand to create this look today. I think it is retro, I think it's simple, it's beautiful, it's one of my favorite looks to date that I've done. So I hope you guys are really interested in seeing how I got this look, so please keep watching. Oh, quick disclaimer, I am using a new microphone today. I am praying, I am keeping everything crossed that the audio is okay. If the makeup portion of it is voice over, that means I ran into audio problems with this, but I am gonna look back at my intro and my outro and see if there's any problems, so there shouldn't be any problems with this one at least. So with that said, please do go watch my video. Okay, here we go. Fingers crossed. Let's do it. I am hoping and I am praying that this is gonna work for me. Otherwise, this whole thing is gonna be a voiceover. And that means it didn't work. So, with fingers still crossed, let's get started. I am going to prime my face, still using the Monistat Chafing Cream as a primer. I did mention, not in my My Little Pony makeup tutorial, because I wanted that one to just be all about the eyes. The one before that, the Spotlight look, I had mentioned that I was looking for another primer, yet I have just not been able to get my hands on one yet, so that is totally okay. I am going to get my hair out of the way real quick because sometimes it can get everywhere. Next for foundation, because Snow White is very, very pale, I'm gonna use my NARS All Day Luminous Foundation in the color Light 2, because this is just a little bit too light for me, so I can't really get away with it in the summertime where I get a lot of color outside, but in the winter, my skin gets nice and pasty, so it still might be a little bit light, but it's gonna give us that really nice fair complexion. And I would say this is about a medium coverage when it's, you know, put on, said and done. You can still see a few imperfections showing through, but I wanted just a nice, as close to natural look as we can get today, of course with my own spins. But this is just such a beautiful foundation. It is a bit liquidy, so just make sure you give it a shake before you start applying it, but I'm gonna dot it all around my face and then blend it out, of course, using my beauty blender. Yeah, it's still a little bit light for me, but once we have, you know, concealer, bronzer, all that fun stuff on, it's not gonna look too unnatural. Make sure you do get your ears, and we will be bringing it down to our neck as well, especially if you're using a foundation that doesn't match perfectly. Now I can still see some of the blemishes, you know, of course poking through. Like I said, this isn't a super high coverage foundation. I did put foundation on my lips, however, because we are going to be doing a classic red Snow White lip today, so I want that color to really pop. I always like to cream contour before I go in with concealer. It's just a personal preference, so you can do concealer or the contour first, but in my case I'm going to be using the Anastasia shadow stick in the color called Shadow, or the foundation stick in the color Shadow, and I'm going to bring it up quite close to my hairline, over the tops of my cheeks, on my nose. I'm going to make my nose look a bit slimmer. Just Snow White has such a petite nose. I'm gonna contour the bottom as well to make my nose appear a little more uplifted, and then to soften this jawline just a little bit there. Sephora Pro Contour Brush number 77, we're just gonna use a very light hand and buff this out. So I was struggling before I even put on concealer. I mentioned it also in that Spotlight video that I've been struggling with under eye, like wrinkles and fine lines and stuff. Even with this foundation, the last video I used was my drugstore foundation, so I wondered maybe if it was a foundation, but now I'm kind of thinking it's probably the primer, because I also was wondering if it was maybe my setting powder, but I'm seeing under eye wrinkles without all I have on is the primer and foundation. So with that said, I think it's going to come down to the primer, which I already mentioned I was going to look for a drugstore one that was similarly priced to this and give a couple of tests out. So I am still having that kind of issue, so please excuse that until I can get around to finding a product to help me with that problem. Hello, I'm going to set my under eyes, and I haven't even done my concealer. I got really sidetracked. Current go-to concealer is this one from MAC. It's a Select Cover Up, and I also want to get my hands on some concealer. You know, the Shape Tape is definitely you know, a popular one that I want to try out, so we may end up seeing that soon in my collection. And I do love using this Naked Skin applicator to apply my concealer. My nose is very crooked, so it's so hard to get a straight line, but I kind of just make an exclamation point and then a little dot on the tip of my nose. Oh my god. The Beauty Blender is like taking off the concealer. What's going on? I went and I re-wet it to get that powder off, and it's like removing. I can see some redness underneath. What? Why is it the day that I'm like so nervous to film? Like, for some reason my heart is pounding while filming this video. I don't know why. My nerves are just all over the place. I shouldn't even say nerves. It's honestly anxiety. Like I just get hit hard so randomly. Oh my gosh, that same... Do you see this? I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. I'm gonna add a little bit of foundation there because for some reason it keeps like removing this little spot over here, and I wet my Beauty Blender, but then I wrung it out with like a paper towel so it wasn't too wet and like wouldn't lift my makeup, but I don't know, that's a little bit better. I just put basically foundation underneath my eyes, but hey, it worked. Let me see if the same thing happens on this side. No, it's just beginning to dry because this concealer dries kind of fast, and I had to go, again, re-wet my Beauty Blender. I am going to bring a little bit of this concealer on top of my lids too. I would have done that later anyways, so just to skip an extra step later, I'm doing it now. Ever so slightly blend it out on my nose because I don't want to move those contour lines. Feel free to always, you know, go back into product. We are going to go in later with a little bit of bronzer as well, so I'm not too worried about it, but just a little light dabbing on the very tip of my nose, and we'll blend out the chin. We can go into my setting powder, which I'm still using Airspun, but I have heard that the Maybelline one, the Fit Me Maybelline, it has a really great setting powder, so I'm very curious. I've been dying to do a full drugstore, like a full face drugstore. So give this video a thumbs up if you definitely would like to see that. A lot of my products right now are from the drugstore. So I wouldn't be opposed to going out and like filling in the products that I don't have in drugstore only, so let me know. I'll probably end up filming it anyways, but if a lot of people seem kind of excited about it, I kind of push that video to the front. I'm not gonna bake too much because I do want to try to keep the look sort of natural. Like, knowing me, it's not going to be natural, but because we are being inspired very much by our beauty queen Snow White here, I'm going to take a little bit of inspo from her, go a little light-handed today. I usually do it off camera just because it's super time consuming and kind of hard to do it on camera. I always have a link down below for my eyeliner routine and my brow routine, but the Brow Stylist Definer, which we also introduced very recently, this is only my second time using it right now, currently in this video. The last time I used it, I loved how my brows came out. They were very, very natural. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my brows again, and I'll be back in just a sec. Brows are done, and second time using this product, I still love it. Again, it was the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer. It reminds me of a dupe for the Anastasia Brow Wiz, but half the price, and it's awesome. I'm going to now set my brows using the e.l.f. Brow and Lash Gel, but of course, just the brow side. I have still yet to use the lash side, simply because I wear falsies whether I'm sleeping or awake, so we spend more time than usual talking about my face products because the eyes are so simple. We are going to be doing a cut crease, but we're going to try to keep it quite natural. So I'm going to grab my Morphe 35W palette, and I've had a love-hate relationship with this palette. I've talked about it, but it does have a great range of neutrals. So we're going to be diving into this today. First color I'm going to pick up is this nice like sandy neutral. I don't think it really has a ton of color payoff, but that's what I want. So taking an Anastasia fluffy brush, I'm just going to sweep this back and forth in my crease. I'm gonna keep this real simple, guys. I am bringing it up quite high, however, when I'm blending because, again, we are creating a cut crease, so at the end of my look, I want you to still be able to see these shadows, and we are gonna layer a couple more. Honestly, I'm barely grazing the skin, and I'm just using these circular motions, so I'm blending as I go. See, not a ton of color payoff, but it's super natural, but it is a nice transition shadow. Next, with a little, it's like a fluffy pencil brush. Ooh, it's got a little fuzzy just for me. One row down, I'm gonna go into this soft brown shadow. Also sweep it back and forth in my crease. I'm just not gonna blend it up as high. And I am gonna bring this one out slightly. I'm gonna flick it out just a little bit because when we cut our crease, I want it to follow the crease shape. I'm kind of debating. I am going back and forth. I was gonna add another dark brown shadow, but this is actually pretty dark on its own. I might try to see if I can find something slightly darker. We are gonna pick up this brown shadow right here, and I'm just gonna use that same fluffy pencil brush, and I'm just going to sweep it on our crease, but just really concentrate it on the outer half. I'm not gonna blend this one out like crazy. I do want to get rid of any harsh lines, but I pretty much want it to stay right where I'm putting it. Oh, this one is quite pigmented. I'm still learning which shadows out of this palette, you know, really show up on the lids and then which ones are kind of meh. So once I have that shadow applied, I'm just gonna go in with a fluffy brush with no extra product and just help soften that up ever so slightly. I really don't want these shadows to move around too much, but I do want the edge or the end right here to also blend out. I'm gonna take a brief pause and just wipe away the powder that's baking on my face so it doesn't bake for too long. Next, we are going to cut the crease. So I'm gonna go in with my MAC Select Cover Up again and put a little bit on the back of my hand. A little really does go a long way. And then I like to map out where my cut crease is gonna be. Some people will just go right in with a flat shader brush and kind of mark it out. I don't really have a great flat shader brush to do that. So I like to take this tiny little brush here. It's a little bit flat. It used to be like a paint brush, but I promise I never used it for paint. I kept it just for my makeup, just for stuff like this. So I can't really talk during this part, but I'm going to map out exactly where I want this cut crease to be. Pretty much just drew a line right in my crease, and as I get toward the end here, I'm just gonna flick it out. Make that line as smooth as you can. And then at this point is when I would go into my flat shader. I'm just gonna pick up a little bit more and I'm gonna fill in my entire lid up to that line. Once I finish filling it in, I just wipe off my brush and then I'm going back in and just kind of patting in the concealer so it doesn't look too cakey. And then just blend the concealer right into your skin. So that is one eye done. I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other eye. Try to get them to match as best as you can, and I'll see you in just a sec. Cut crease is finally done. It's a little time consuming, but it's worth it. I am next gonna go into one of my favorite eyeshadows in this palette, which is this nice, almost like shimmery ivory shadow. And I'm gonna pick it up on an e.l.f. flat shader brush here. It's a little bit small. I really like it. And I'm gonna pack this right over that concealer. Once that is on, I'm going back and forth here. I'm a little bit torn because I have this fantastic pigment I'm almost considering using. The pigment is from Too Faced and it's called Nude Beam, and it is so cute. Like, not Nude Bean, Nude Beam. And it's so, so, so pretty. It's just super, super glittery. I'm extra. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to just go ahead and dip my brush right into this pigment, and I'm gonna lay it on right over that color as well. What's up with all the fuzzies today? I've had this pigment in my collection for so long and just never used it because I kind of just forgot about it. I got it from the Too Faced, I want to say the Vegas Nay collection, and that came out a long time ago. A little bit of fallout. I'm trying to find my brush to wipe it away. A little bit of glitter fallout, but it actually wipes away quite nicely. It's not one of those glitters that just stick to your face and then never get off. Next step is a step that I do all the time, but I actually think it's really appropriate for today's look because Snow White is so youthful and her eyes are so big. This is gonna help you achieve this look. So taking my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil, I am going to line my waterline, and then using that same detailed brush I mentioned, I'm going to bring this underneath my lashes as well, all the way to my inner tear duct. And then I'm just pretty much gonna use my pinky to blend this out. I like to kind of tap it in so I'm not pulling at my under eyes. Once that's blended in, I'm gonna keep the lash line super simple. I'm just gonna go in with an even smaller, denser pencil brush here, and I'm probably just gonna pick up a mixture of this shadow here, which is a little bit darker than the Verse shadow that we use. It's right next to it, and then the brown right underneath as well. And I'm just gonna sweep this from my outer corner right until where about my lashes stop. And this just is giving me a nice natural shadow. I don't want it to look like there's actual eyeshadow on my face. I do, however, want a really bright inner corner highlight, and whenever I want that, my go-to is from the Carly Bybel Deluxe palette, and it's this nice frosty white shadow. So I'm gonna take this e.l.f. concealer brush. I only use it for eyeshadow. I'm gonna pick up some of this product and then really highlight my inner corner. A little bit on my lash line as well. This is gonna help us with the illusion of us giving us those big doe eyes. Next, I am going to line my lash line. I do have a link again down below to show you how I do my everyday eyeliner. It's the exact same thing. I'm just not gonna extend the line out as far as I normally would because I want it to almost, I want the wing to almost look like an eyelash instead of like an actual eyeliner. So I'm gonna keep the line very thin, and then again, just not extend the liner as far. That's shorter than what I usually do. Not as short as I was planning on, but sometimes your makeup just tells you what it's gonna look like. They are not perfect by any means, but they are shorter than what I usually do, and it's freaking liner. So we're moving on because if I keep going, I'm gonna have to redo my whole face. 2 quick coats of mascara using my Telescopic from L'Oreal. As I'm finishing up my mascara here, I'm kind of debating because you could totally leave it with just the mascara. But hi, I'm Shane. I don't do anything without lashes. But because I'm going to be using lashes, of course I use my Salon Perfect 615s. They're honestly, I think, a great selection anyways for today's look. But I'm debating, I have 2 pairs in front of me, and I don't know if I want to do like a full set or if I want to cut them in half and then just have like wispies on the end of my lashes. But at the same time, my lashes are so short that I'm afraid there's gonna be a huge distinction between my real lashes and the fake ones. You know what, these are nice and wispy though. I think I'm gonna reuse this pair. We're gonna do a full set today. Well, we have the cut crease too, which I think is a little bit glam. We're kind of doing like a glamified Snow White here. I forgot to mention this as well. This is also another fantastic option for the lid. If you want to use Max Pigment in Naked, it's pretty much the Nude Beam color, but without the sparkles. But I actually really do like the shimmer on my eyes, so I'm happy with my choice. But if you do happen to have it in your collection, I think it would look absolutely gorgeous. Actually, the lashes that I have in my hands right now, I don't think are the Salon Perfects because they're more spaced out, or maybe they are. I think I bought one random pair of lashes on a recent Ulta trip, So these may be it. So unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly what pair these are, but they're really similar to my Salon Perfects. I couldn't even tell the difference. So they might be, they just seem a little bit longer than usual. Like this way. As those begin to get tacky, I'm gonna give them about a minute or so. So we're just gonna start on the next step, and I'm gonna take my Becca bronzer in Sunlit or Capri Coast. I always screw that up. And I'm just gonna start bronzing up my face a little bit. I'm not gonna go too crazy with it. Again, we wanna keep quite pale, but this is also gonna help set that cream concealer that we put down with the Anastasia stick. So just a little bit, honestly, is gonna go a long way for us today. I'm probably not gonna do any more than that. And I didn't even dip in again. We're gonna do the other cheek, and we are getting a nice flush of color. And then again, I think another little swirl, a tap, is gonna finish off the rest of our forehead and our jawline. I am gonna take a clean kabuki brush. I only use this to buff out that bronzer a little bit, just to go over everything. And our lashes should be getting to that point now that we can go ahead and apply them, so let me pop them on. By the way, I don't cut down my lashes. I actually like them to be quite long because I like them to overlay my eye a little bit, because it just makes it makes my eyes look longer. These probably could have sat for another second or so, but they're tacky enough that they're not gonna slide around too much. Just gonna use my fingers to really press it against my skin, especially those corners. Those tend to lift on you first. My eyes might look a little crazy with the glue right now, but I promise it will dry clear very shortly. I do want to mimic Snow White's beautiful rosy cheeks, and at this moment in time, I really wish I actually had a red blush. But I don't, and I wanted to use this color so badly, and I know it's not, you know, we're not going for the exact spot-on Snow White tutorial, but I dug this out of my makeup collection. This is Coral Cove from Milani. It is so pretty. My favorite was the #1 Romantic Rose. I have one more upstairs too. I love these blushes. This one has not been touched, and I kind of missed my opportunity with this past spring and summer, so I'm gonna use it today. Does it go with red? Probably not, but it's gonna give us a nice rosy flush of color, which is exactly what I want. Look at that pigment. Oh boy, we're gonna use a light hand. Oh wow, I'm barely touching the skin, and I already see so much of this color popping up, so I'm gonna wipe a little bit of that off, and I'm gonna concentrate this blush pretty much just on the apples of my cheeks. Let me smile like a psychopath for a second. That's pigment. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of that kabuki brush again and just try to buff that in a little bit. It is so pigmented. Oh my gosh, be careful with that one, please. It's so pretty though. I'm so glad that oh, that's so much better. That might be in my next favorites whenever I get to filming that one. Ooh, I haven't filmed a favorites in a while. Alright, eyelashes are still fully drying, so I'm gonna leave them alone for a minute. You know what, let's go ahead and finish up the face. I was gonna move on to lips, but let's just add a little bit of highlighter. So I'm gonna use this e.l.f. highlighting brush. It was only a couple of dollars, so if you don't have one, I would totally recommend it. Again, going into my Carly Bybel palette. Oh, what do I go for? Do I go for... I think I'm gonna go for this pink one here, and then just a little bit of that white highlight. Ooh, very nice. All right, I'm gonna put just a little bit on my nose. I'm just gonna use a little bit of that white one on the tip of my nose and a little bit down the center. Okay, now moving on to lips. I am actually gonna go back over my lips a little bit with a tiny bit of foundation. It kind of has been rubbing off since I've been talking a lot. Now, I have a couple of different options. I do wanna use Outlaw, right? Yeah, Outlaw from the Kat Von D Liquid Lipstick Collection. I think the Kat Von D liquid lipsticks are some of my favorite. I think they're the most comfortable, and they definitely last a long time. Like my hot pink one called Backstage Bambi does not come off. Like it stains your lips. So that is a good thing in my book. But I also have two ColourPop options as well. They're slightly different in color. I have Avenue and I have Lax. So first I'm gonna apply Outlaw all over my lips. Oh, it's such a pretty color on its own. I do overdraw my lips a little bit, in case you are wondering. That's nothing I hide. I love makeup, so if you can achieve a bigger pout without having to go underneath the knife, I'm gonna show you how. So I'm gonna let this fully dry for a moment. I am gonna go over my lash band really quick with that liquid liner that I used, and then we'll be back when I decide which ColourPop one I wanna put on top. Honestly, I love this color so much. We may only use Outlaw, but just for the fun of it and to make sure this is exactly what I want, we are just gonna do quick swatches on the back of my hand. So this first one is Avenue. So it's a little bit darker. And I think Lax is even darker than Avenue. So it's more, do I want like a blood red lip, or do I want like a classic red lip? You know what? I think we're just gonna stick with Outlaw. I thought I was gonna go over this in another color. I am gonna throw on another layer of this real quick, but I'm gonna show you how I make my lipstick last all day when I'm done. Once my lips are totally dry, there is a tiny bit of transfer. Well, that finger is stained because I was testing that. I'm gonna mwah. So there's the bittiest bit of red on my finger to combat that and literally make this not come off for hours. I'm going to take a tiny bit of my translucent powder on my finger, and I'm just going to pat this all over my lips until it basically blends into the lipstick. So this is the finished makeup look. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Honestly, it was so simple. It just took me much longer because I was trying to explain everything, but I really, really, really do love this look. If there's maybe another Disney princess that you love, maybe it's your favorite, and you want to see a makeup tutorial inspired by that princess, please let me know down in the comments and I'd be more than happy to. Please also throw a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and if you don't want to miss any new ones, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!